Hi, today we're talking about the Dutch election that took place on the 17th March 2021. So this is my first YouTube video on this channel and overall my first video, so thanks for watching and let's go. The Dutch elections are difficult and sort of complex as well. Let me first show you how a Dutch election works, or more precisely, the Dutch electoral system. It does work at first very straightforward. If a party receives 10% of the vote, it receives 10% of the 150 seats in the Dutch parliament. Thus, seats are not tied to any region in the Netherlands, and the country is viewed as one big constituency. To receive one seat, therefore, requires 1/150th of the votes. But it doesn't work that easy, though. Especially the last few seats often end up distributed due to roundings, and a seat is obviously not shareable between two or more parties. Although, interesting idea, isn't it? So the calculations are based on the NU.nl method. At first, one divides all votes through the amount of seats. You get the so-called electoral divisor. Second, you simply divide the party's amount of votes through the electoral divisor, and there you receive your amount of seats for each party. Let me shortly show you a hypothetical scenario. There are about 13 million eligible voters in the Netherlands. To make it mathematically very easy, only 12 million people vote in the election. So Party A receives 6 million votes, Party B 5 million, and Party C 1 million. Now, since the total amount of votes is 12 million, one divides that number through the 150 seats. This gives you 80,000, the electoral divisor. One now simply divides the party's amount of votes through the electoral divisor. So, Party A receives 75 seats, Party B receives 62 seats, and Party C receives 12 seats. There is one seat left though. This is because one always rounds down in the NU.nl method. In this case, the last seat is given to the party with the greatest amount of people that are represented for each seat of a party. One just divides the amount of votes through the amount of seats. So A has got 80,000 votes per seat, B has 80,645 votes per seat, and C 83,333. So C receives the last seat. So after this hypothetical election, this is the result. I'll shortly explain to you the political agenda of the main parties. The Volkspartij voor Vrijheid en Democratie, short VVD on English, People's Party for Freedom and Democracy of Prime Minister Rutte, received the most votes with 22%. The VVD is a liberal conservative party with a liberal economy policy on one hand, on the other they follow a conservative domestic policy. Since 2010 they are the strongest party in the Dutch elections. The Dutch Prime Minister since then as well is Mark Rutte. The second strongest party is the Democraten 66, short D66, on English Democrats 66. The name comes from their foundation date, October 1966. They received 14.9% of the votes. The political agenda of D66 is a bit difficult to explain since they do not really represent one of the three big classes, Christian voters, the working class, and the classic liberals. In general, D66 is a party of the political mid, but they do have left-wing and progressive agendas as well. The strong election result was sort of a surprise though. It could be due to the top candidate Sigrid Kaag, a former United Nations diplomat. She focused on European-friendly and climate policy. The third strongest party is the right-wing Partij voor de Vrijheid, short PVV, on English Party for the Freedom, with 10.9% of the votes. The PVV is a right-wing nationalist party and in general very skeptical towards the liberal European Union. The fourth strongest party is the so-called Christen-Democratisch Appel, short CDA, on English it's sort of the Christian Democratic Call, with 9.7% of the votes. As they claim in the name, the political agenda is democracy and policy in a Christian way. The fifth strongest party is the Sozialistische Partei, short SP, or in English, Socialist Party, with 6% of the votes. The party leans to the left-wing policy and social democracy. The party sometimes was as well described as left populist due to its critics on the capitalist system. As you can see, there are much more parties in the Netherlands, most of them very small and some of them as well new in the Dutch parliament, such as Volt with 2.4% of the votes. Volt is a pan-European party with the aim to strengthen the European Union in order to create a federalist European country. The gains and losses of the parties compared to the last election in 2017. There weren't very strong changes, unlike 2017 was to 2012, when the Social Democratic PVDA lost about 80% of their votes compared to 2012. What does this result mean for the country and for Europe? Well, it is very likely that Rutte will stay Prime Minister, maybe in the former coalition with D66, CDA and the ChristenUnie, another small Christian Democratic party. They would even have a slightly larger majority in the parliament compared to 2017. 79 seats, 4 more than the half of the seats. In 2017 they had 76 seats together. Well, that's not for sure though. After the election in 2017, it took an incredible 255 days to form a coalition. 17 parties in the parliament, that's quite a lot. In Germany, for example, there are 7 big parties in the parliament. In the United Kingdom, 3 parties hold 94% of the seats. Depending on the coalition, it is likely that climate change will play an important role in the future political agenda in the Netherlands. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, many people suffered economical damages. The economy played a very important role in the election campaign, as well as new and safe jobs and a strong state that is able to help its citizens in times of need. Since it is likely that Rutte will stay Prime Minister, maybe even in the same and now bigger coalition, there won't be any great changes towards the European Union. Although there might be a stronger relationship with the EU if the coalition continues with the now stronger D66. Overall, the Dutch election was an interesting test in the shadow of the coronavirus crisis, and it will become more interesting this year with the parliament elections in Bulgaria, Cyprus, Czech Republic, and Germany. Thanks for watching.